Hello again, everybody. It's Harry Boxer, the technical trader at techtrader.com. It's Saturday, June the 10th. This is the weekend webinar. Let's get started. An important week. Technically, I do want to point out the S&P has experienced a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave advance. Not sure that's over yet. Usually fifth waves can be spiky and can exceed expectations. I think we're going to see 44, 50, 75, but we could get a pullback first in a 1, 2, 3, fourth wave consolidation pullback retest with support at about 4180, 4200. Let's call it 4200, 4210, right there. If we can hold that and then move up, something around 4475 to 4490 in that area, maybe 4500 might be a target. We'll see. What's the NDX saying? Bullish, but extended as well. Now from the triple bottom base, the 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth wave is also underway, which can extend, if possible, up towards the double top we had a year ago in January, March. That reached 15,300 roughly, 15,265 and 15,200. So that 15,2 is a target. Small caps and transportation is trailing, but they have picked it up. As you can see, the breakout occurred last week on the IWM above the moving averages, which we're crossing over, above triple top mini base. We're at resistance or near it, near 189.90. The next target is 194 and 201. There's where there's a double top up there. The transportation index, even weaker, had a little bit of a bounce, particularly on Wednesday, but didn't do well Thursday, Friday. So that's going to need to get up above 14,578 to complete a Dow theory confirmation. So for that trails, always a concern. What do the oscillators look like? Well, because of advanced declines and up-down volume not being, strong as we'd like to see, and indicating a thinner, narrower market, I should say, you can see that the oscillator is just plus 28, and that's pretty neutral, not getting too overbought. What's the VIX saying? Well, the VIX got down to 1350. The lowest reading we've seen since back in December of 20. It's a long time since we've seen this. Doesn't mean it's at a level that calls for market decline. Not until we see the VIX higher, the oscillator higher and the VIX lower. In addition, the percentage of stocks above their 40 is up to 55.5, and usually when you get up to 75, 85 up in that zone, it becomes overbought. So I'm looking for these indicators to get to the point where it's a no-brainer call of a top. Market doesn't always accommodate everybody, so we have to keep close tabs on it at this point. Let's look at some individual stuff. Apple, power housing to a nominal new high before reversing. It reached 184.95. Prior high, 182.88 and 182.94. So by a couple points, a new high, then a pullback. But a pullback has held. We can still see higher levels. I would look for 190 as a possibility if the market extends. Amazon, well, you can see the rising channel following that drop, which was signaled by that island reversal. We got down, reversed, and then been an uptrend since March. Amazon going from 88 to 127 and now pulling back. There is some resistance right there. So I'm not surprised to see a pullback. If we do get some sort of pullback consolidation, love to see that hold the 114's area. The next target might be upwards of 134.5. Microsoft, strong channel, strong pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, and maybe a fifth wave. It could be 1, 2, 3, and 4 or 5. So that's why I'm still looking for a little bit more for this market before I get crazy negative. And that would be upwards of 348.9. Meta, power housing along. The former Facebook's continues to look strong, even though many of them have backed off during the week. The next target is 300. Netflix, strong surge, is now the highest level since February 22. nearly a year and a half. There's a spike reversal up there. They got up to 458, which would be a target of mine somewhere around that area. Right there. So it should be getting an extension. That's the target for Netflix. NVIDIA, monster. And now a tech trader swing because of the breakaway and the coil. At some point, there's a blow off to 475, 500, in my opinion. I don't know if that occurs, but keep an eye on support at the gap, which would be right now 366. And Tesla, power housing to a new, let's see, the highest level since September. Now has room to run a little bit, although there is around 257, and we reached 252, so almost there. But should we get through that, we might see 285, even 300 again. What a move. So there's a look at the underlying tech. Now, how about and some of the major NASDAQ generals? What about the major groups, ETFs that we follow? They give me a signal of what the market might be doing, starting with the SMH or semiconductors, which are leading the way. Check this out. Explodes, and then last week coils, flags, holding support. 143 is support, roughly. Target 155, 159.60. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves have already been had. Inverse head and shoulder was broken. There's room to run higher. Gotta be careful with this. It's extended. Financials, completely different story. And nowhere near breaking out until this gets up above 65. Right now, 60.94. Now it was up and the moving average are crossing over, so we may be able to get going on that. Biotechs, obviously it came down, bounced. 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth waves underway, but there's difficult resistance overhead at about 89.91 zone. If we get through that, we might see 95. So I'm liking that. XBI is another, I'm sorry, LABU, LABU, similar pattern, and you can see the declining top line and lateral price resistance. So LABU needs to go over 7.5, then your target's 9.15. Key support at 6. Let's look at the major ETFs we follow, but I do want to look at gold, which is not making me happy. After a little bit of a bounce last week was negatory for it. Although we are at the major trend line, there is some support. The stop on GDX or any of these gold instruments would be under the last pullback low. In this case, 30. Nugget, 35, 5.5. And JNUG, at 33. So that's where we're at. And you can see until this proves itself. In this case, we're above 39.75. And in the case of Nugget, I need that above 40. So keep an eye on that pattern because it could be a bear wedge, but it is near support, so kind of a conundrum here. Gold and silver, similar, AGQ, bigger bounce. Minor breakout, but it has to get above there, and that's key for me. You see 32 on the AGQ, we may be headed higher. But silver's acted better than gold last week, that's for sure. Oil. I still maintain we're in a big downtrend, and I still maintain the possibility that if we don't rally quickly and get above 66.25 on the USO, take out of 60 and then 58 might ensue, leading to this, a possibility of a move down towards the mid 50s. So stay tuned, we'll find out more about oil. And then there's gas, of course, and boy, KOLD pressed higher. Week before last, reaching 92.35, kind of a quadruple top up here. But there's a little wedgie going on, it's holding above the moving average. The stop for this is 74.5, underneath that. Above, the target is 93, and then 100. This is amazing. You're looking at the other side, UNG, pretty ugly. Even though it bounced off the low, it's not far from it. And Boyle is just going nowhere. And until it gets above at least the VWAP, I'm sorry, the 50-day moving average, which is now 313, I wouldn't be long this stock. Okay, so let's look at the indices, the technicals, the major ETFs, the NASDAQ generals. And let's move on to a bunch of charts we have that look very bullish. Junior aviation stocks like Joby and Archer doing very well lately. Look at the base and the pop, the wedge and the break out slightly on Friday before pulling back. ACHR might be a swing to test the gap at near 4 and then 5. ACLX, which has been a pick of mine for months now, bull flagging in here, and looks like target would be 52.34 range. AEHR and break out to new all-time highs. It looks like a stock that wants to go higher. If I can see an acceleration, we're looking at 48.50 and maybe even 68.70 at some point. Really like this chart. AI, big spike up coming off that low. Having gone from 16.79 exploding to 44 in just 3 weeks. Now the pullback and the bounce. What will we do here? Well, I don't want the 3-day lows to be taken out at 35. Also, the 3-day highs at 39.30 might be a place to consider a buy if it blows out through it. Be really careful with this one though. It's extremely volatile. ALDX breaks out. This is a tech trader swing. It looks awfully good. My target's at 13, 14.5. AMAM, also a tech trader swing, broke out and flagged, pulled back and tested, held so far. Stop is under 11.75. Over 15, 15.25, 18 and 22 type targets. AMD popped out of a wedge on Friday. It looks like it's going to test a high, that being 130.75. You get through it, looking for high 130s, maybe 140.45. APLD, pop broke out. Looks like a tech trader swing to me, and a beautiful flag indeed. Look at that base breakout flag. Target 15. APP breaks out and runs up. We put a swing on it and reached target flag, but broke down. Now it held a gap. That's a key stopping point under 20.5, 20.75. Targets at 25 and 28. APYX, love that chart. Breakout, rising channel at target number 1 and 2. Target number 3 is 11 now. RCT, beautiful base breakout flag, pop to the first target and pull back. As long as it holds 25, I'm good. Target's at 33.4, 38.9. Arlo, base breakout wedge, tech trader swing, run up, flag, go to 11, 11.25. Atomera broke out. We put a swing on it, ran right to both targets and pulled back. It's wedging now. Take a look. I just don't want to see a breakdown from this wedge pattern. If it breaks out, your targets are 10, 11, and 13. ATRO, long downtrend broken, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves, double bottom, breakout. Retest, hold the moving average, explode, falling wedge. Right there. Popped out, ran up, double topped and pulled back, but broke out again, and now it's stair stepping its way higher. This one looks like a run at 20, 20.5, and then 26 eventually might be in store. Definitely turn around. Look at the moving averages crossing over, turning up. Okay, moving on to AVDL, which had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then pulled back, and since then has been a steady rising channel with a flag and a pop out targeting 18. South American airline Azul with an inverse head and shoulder breakout and a run up to target number 1. Target number 2, 16. BMEA, breakaway gap, falling wedge and pop out, formed an ascending bull coil there and broke out of that. Mid channel target 58, upper channel target high 70s. Wow, that could be a flyer. Kaba, big run off the lows, coiled, broke out, retested and popped. We have resistance. Important resistance at 13.5. You get through it, 16 is your target. CARG, long downtrend, platformed, broke out, coiled, and popped. I'm looking for 22 and 26. CFLT breaks a nice basing pattern with a surge through there. Runs up past that high, now looking for 42.3. Coco, boys, this has been a fantastic chart. Since November of last year when it spiked down to 739 to Friday's high at 28.40, this stock's 300% higher in about 6 months. How far can it go? Well, it's new all-time highs and there's no telling where it can go, but I would say 30 is my next target. Cody, big run from 6 to 12 and doubled. Now the consolidation. As long as it holds that line, the 10.5, I'm good. Your targets are 12.5 and 14. CRISPR popped out, put a swing on it, pulled back on a beautifully formed orderly flag, held at 50 and exploded. Now it's consolidating. Now Friday, it exploded to 68.74 before pulling back $7. Quite the negative pullback. Careful, stop under 60. Target 70 and 75. Carvana also followed through big time and had a nasty reversal. Reached 27.33, dropped to 18, finished 18.57 at low end of the range. Never a good thing. That looks like a blow off in wave 3. 1, 2, 3. Looking for a fourth wave consolidation and a fifth wave move to the mid-30s, low to mid-30s. CXAI explodes in April, forms a coil, holds the 50 twice, breaks out and pops and forms a wedge. Folks, your targets are 17, 17.5, and 20, maybe more. DraftKings, tech trader swing when it broke out, ran up to the target, pulled back, held at 50 a couple times, and ran up again to secondary target. At this point, I'm looking for 30. The MRC, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth wave truncated, shortened, runs up and forms a big falling channel or flag and breaks out with a breakaway gap. Reaches target number 1 and consolidates. Target number 2, 39. Dole, a new one on my list. We had a left-handed extended V and then a pop and a cup and handle. From 9 3/4, this has reached nearly 14. It looks like the target is 15 3/4, 16. DT breaks out of a base and keeps running. My target 55 and 62. Nice chart. Edit. Long downtrend. Pops, flags, pops, falling wedge, and pops again. It needs to get through here. Keep an eye on it. This swing, I'm up 10 3/4, 12 and 14 targets. ELF, probably my chart of the year if I was to pick one. In the last 12 months, it's gone from 21 to 105 and a beautiful rising channel uninterrupted. That's another bull flag, folks. I don't know how far they take it, but my next target is 115. LTech, explosive move from literally under 4 to 10.5, 150% in 3 weeks and consolidating. Next target 11.5 3/4. ENLT, base breakout wedge pop. Really new IPO. If the major move takes place, you can see this stock in the mid-20s. Long, beautiful rising channel at ENTB, also one of my best charts of the year. In the last 52 weeks has gone from 246 to over 20, 2085, targeting 22 and 27. Great momentum. Beautiful base on EVLV, finally broke out and now has a rising flag. Can't get more bullish than that, in my opinion. Good OBV and good technicals. Target 7 3/4. EXPI breaking out of a base with explosive breakaway gap at or near first resistance. Next target at 26 and then 31. EXTR breaks out of a multi 6-month base and is running again and within a long rising channel. Now looking like a run to 30, 32 could be had. FDMT, one of my picks of the year, exploded, pulled back, popped, wedged, and broke out again. This is the highest close on it since back in January, February. I would look for a retest of 22.3 and then 26. FLNC, beautiful rising channel, finally broke out of the consolidation flag, popped again. It's at resistance through here. 32 and 35 are targets. General Electric has wowed everybody on Wall Street, double bottom breakout retest, and then run up, baby. 58 to 106. Based on this angle, unless it deteriorates, it might reach 125 or better. Genlux, new IPO exploded, pulled back, popped again, and had been flagging for 3 months, waiting for a breakout. If you see a move over 30, go long for a nice pop, maybe 35 and 40. GRTX, base breakout for this biotech. A nice little coils developed. It could be a 1, 2, 3, 4 and a wave 5 coming, which will take you to 3 3/4, 4, 4 3/4, 5. GSIT explodes, pulls back, forms a wedge and breaks out. This is a tech trader swing. Thursday's high reached 8.25, up about 60% from where we give it to you. But I'm telling you, if this gets through 9, it goes vertical. HEAR, triple bottom base breakout, retest, pop, and wedge. Call it a coil. What I really need in this one is a move above 12.15. You do that, 13.25, 14.75 or more maybe ahead. Heritage Global, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth wave is underway, but it looks like if this continues, we might see 5. HLIT, long-term beautiful rising channel, something I've been involved with for a year. Triple top breakout in a rising pattern. Now it looks like if it breaks through 18, it could be low 20s. HROW, long rising channel, broke down, bear wedge, and broke down in another. So this is very dangerous here. Has to be stopped under 18, 18.5. If it recovers, resistance and targets 24, 25, 29. IDYA, top platform that came down, but then had a breakaway gap and a wedge, then has been stair stepping higher. Retesting here is my target. That would be 28. Immunogen exploded and flagged for a few days. We put a swing on it. I think it was in the 13, 14 range. It's now 17 and running, targeting 20. IMTX, inverse head and shoulder breakout, flag and pop. Here's my first target, 11.75, second target, 13, 13.5. Top 20 pick IMBT, which had the big run October, November, December, January, then went into a first quarter pullback like many of the biotechs. But now, breakaway, flag, pop, and falling wedge. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm looking for another wave up into the 28 range. INIT, beautiful rising channel, and broke out last week. I wanted to show it to you, but it's at resistance and target at about 26.5. Next target is 30 and 35. INZY, long downtrend broken, wedge, 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 5-wave move, and then it's a 1, 2, 3, 4. Looking for more double digits, perhaps 9 or 10. IONQ, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down, reversed from the base, broke out, but retested. Luckily that held and it ran up sharply. Now it's wedging again. A break to this level and we're looking at 14. IQT, beautiful breakout, hold, consolidate, and then breakaway gap, sharp run up. Very sharp. Don't think it's done yet, 34 target. Iron, beautiful base, breaks out, retests, forms some sort of a wedge in here, pops out there, runs up and flags again. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Might extend, but it's a dangerous stock at this point, having gone from 12 to 45. You might see 50, 55, but be careful. Joby Tech Trader swing broke out. We put a swing on it near 5. It's down near 7, tagging 706 on Friday. And that was one of my targets. Why? There's a double top there. We get through it. 7.75 and 9 are the next targets. Copen, beautiful base for over a year. And then explosive 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice on Thursday it popped, but Friday it pulled back to form a wedge. The wedge breaks out to the upside. I'm looking for 3 and 4. And support now at 185 or 6. LASR, beautiful base, and right up to resistance on a triple top. But this breakaway gap and wedge now followed with this double top. Once and if it gets through 1495.15, I'm looking for a move to 18 and 20. LFCR imploded in March, rebounded sharply at a rising channel, and then went ballistic before forming this little coil. I think it has more to go. My target's 10 and 11. LI, the electric vehicle, Chinese EV manufacturer I like the most, has gone from an October low around 12.75 to 32 and change, nearly tripling, and breaking out of the flag last week, looking like it's gone higher, 34, 36 minimum targets. MGNI, long downtrend from the mid 50s down to single digits, losing nearly 90%. Explodes, flags, and pops. Implodes, breaks support, consolidates and breaks out again, forms a wedge, and now it's challenging resistance. We get through here, this could be significant. and I would look for something around 17. MOD, long uptrend, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 waves up and down. But when I look at this from this angle, this is what I'm seeing on a longer term basis. Beautiful parallel channel. It's near the top of that channel, may need to consolidate, retest, etc. MRAM breaks out of a base, it's probably headed for the spike high or a test around 940, 45. And once you get through that, I'm looking for 11. MRNS, long downtrend, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down, a pop, a pullback, a platform, a breakout, a retest, and a spike up last week. My target now, follow through to 13. MRVL, long decline for this semiconductor, and then beautiful base forms. It breaks out with a breakaway gap and forms a wedge. I like this for a swing to 75 and 90. Micron is a swing. It popped and broke out and ran to target number 1 before pulling back, but it's got to hold this range down here. I don't want it under 64, ideally. If it does go, 74 and 80 are targets. MVIS vertical, and I mean vertical from 182 to 8, more than fourfold. 820 was a high. It's pulled back to 6 and had a reversal day Friday, so be careful with this one. Longer term, maybe C10, but I need to see a setup that's better than this one. NABL, that's enable. Peaks out of it, pops to resistance, wedges, pops, and forms another falling wedge that retests the breakout point right there and the moving average and trend line. Then it ran up from another wedge. The way it's stair stepping up tells me this may be a high teen stock like 17, 18. NEO breaks out of a base here with a breakaway gap, pulls back in a falling wedge, a 3-wave corrective affair, tests the trend line, explodes with a breakaway, and it pulls back and flags. Just feels like a stock that wants to go higher. 22, 25, and 28 are targets. NERV pops out and forms a wedge. This is a tech trader swing. I'm looking for a pop, run, and break out to 11, 12, 13, maybe 14. It's good double. Nanox spikes and pulls back. We put a swing on it in the high 9s. It reached 2269. 150% in a couple of weeks. It's got a rising channel. I don't want it underneath 16 3/4. 16 and a half would be a stop. NTNX breaks a falling wedge, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave falling wedge, breakaway gap, and now wedging, flagging. I need to get above 30 3/4, targets 33. NVIDIA, I gave you targets earlier. NVDL is a tracking stocks I didn't talk about, but take a look. If the NVDL tracking stocks does not break 69.70, then I would look for something in the mid high 80s or more. NVT, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th wave underway, but it broke out of a base platform with a flag and ran up and wedged. I can see this reaching the channel top there, high 50s. NVTS Navitas in the junior semiconductor group broke through a double top, pulled back hard to the prior high here, and then ran up again. It's near the highs, targeting 11. CUL, healthy looking biotech with a big downtrend, double top, breakout, retest, and then run up again. Now looking for 9 1/4. OMER, similar. V bottom at right hand extension, breakaway gap, retest, run up, falling wedge, and run up again. It's at resistance here. We move up now, and we're looking at 8 3/4 and 10. OPRA, one of the better looking charts since November, when it was down under 4. They've made it up to 19 and change, nearly 5-fold, and it's extended and accelerated. Be careful, but momentum could carry this into the low 20s. Oscar Health breaks out, pops through declining top line, pulls back hard, breakaway gap, retest, rising wedge, breakout. There's a double top up here. I'm expecting a test of 10 1/4. We'll see what happens after that. PACB finally getting through multiple tops, or edging through it. Reached 14.22 and backed off a little bit. My targets remains 15 and 18. PCBX, ever since it exploded and then pulled back in a fall wedge and broke out, this stock looks good to me. I'm now looking for a bigger move into the 50s and 60s. PDFS, beautiful chart. It's gone from the 8-9 range into the mid 40s. Recently, it pulled back to test the prior breakout point at 32 3/4 held, and it ripped to 44. Now it looks like it can accelerate to 50, my next target. PESI, beautiful chart, explosive move. In December, a low of 3.25. By April, 1260. This one quadrupled, then a sharp pullback, but it held secondary support, ran up as flagged, and popped out on Thursday. Friday backed up a little, but that's because it's right at the old high. If it gets through here, 15 is my target. PLAB in the semiconductor group breaks out of a falling wedge and then spikes up, breaks the resistance, flags, and keeps running. Very strong chart, 26 target. Palantir, base, breakout, spike up with the tech trader swing. It worked well. Going through 10.5, it reaches 17. And then backs off. I'm going to need this one to hold this pullback low at 1380.85. Next targets are 17 and 20. PPSI, beautiful run up in March, April. 2.5, spike to 690. Big percentage move. Then it took a while to coil and consolidate, but there's your breakaway and flag. Keep an eye on this next week because the move through 697 is going to get $8. PRG, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up, and it's still moving. I'm not sure it's done yet. If it accelerates, 39.40 would be a target. PTGX, base, breakout, sharp run up, and a pullback. Held the moving averages, ran up and flagged and broke out. If and when we get to 31, I would look for a potential to test that double top up at 38. QTRX, beautiful base pattern after a long decline. The stock dropping from the 90s to single digits. Finally based out, broke out, spiked up to the target and backed off, held it, and still moving. Right now, I'm looking for 30. RCKT broke through a triple top Friday. I'm looking for 28 and 32. Beautiful rising channel, uptrend intact. RELY breaks up out of a base with a breakaway pop and continues to accelerate. The actual angle looks closer to this. You can see it reach the top of that channel within a channel. But should it accelerate, which I expect it's going to at some point, it's a 22.5 and $25 stock. Rambus, as long as it gets in a semiconductor group, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm more hesitant up here, having gone from 21 to 70, or 68.75. Bottom line though, with a little wedge in here, if it doesn't break down, 71.2 is your next target. RMTI breaks out of a base pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up. Logical target at resistance says that 6 is doable. Roivant, one of my top picks of the year, ran up and pulled back and it's going again. I'm looking for 12. Sana, breakaway move, flag, we put a swing on it. Ran from 5 to 7.75. Actually tagged 8 and pulled back. Now I'm looking for a retest of 8 and a run up to 9.5. Sigma Lithium, one of the smaller lithium stocks, is near its all-time high, 41.80. Should we get through that level? I think it will. I'm thinking we get to high 40s. Shopify, tech trader swing, broke out, pulled back, and then ran up and wedged. If we break this wedge, we're going to be 75, 77. SKX, nice downtrend, breakaway gap, moving averages cross over. It does a stair step move up, gets to resistance and backs off and retests. Holds it around that level and runs up again and retests again. This one looks very strong. I'm looking for 58 and 65. SLMO, junior biotech, didn't used to be a junior, got from 50 to under $1. I kid you not. Spiked up and wedged, and then it's now run back up to 6 and change from 85 cents. It's at resistance, but should it extend, we might see 9 and 10. SMCI, my pick for stock of the year, maybe stock of the last 2 years, I should say. Since May of last year, of May of 22, when it was in the mid 30s, the stock's now 262, and every day is up 5-10 points. I don't know how far they can take this. Last week I noted the flag and said it could explode out of here. It's doing it. We may see 300 before too long. SOFI, big move. 445 to 881, a double. And it's near key resistance here. So be careful. It may need to rest and consolidate. However, If you're looking for a target, it's $10. SOXL swing trade in the semiconductor ETF looks to me like it wants to go higher. 26 and 29 are targets. And SYS is going to be taken out by somebody. By what price is not determined yet, but you can see the chart. It looks like an inverse head and shoulders, choppy consolidation, but finally breaking out here. I bet you'll see a takeover in the 2021 range. STNE, South American Software, big base breakout and wedge. I like the look, targeting 1819. STRL, Sterling at all-time high. This is a major construction company in the Southeast. Don't know how far they can take it, but it's overbought. SYM, how about this beautiful rising channel? 8 3/4 to 43.80. Five-fold increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up. Not sure how much it can extend, but it could blow off into the low 50s. TERN, one of my top picks of the year, pop flag and rising channel. It continues to go. Targeting 13.5 and 17.5. Technoglass, one of my tech traded swings from back here in December, continues to push. Had a nice pullback this month, but snap back. If it fails here, look out. It could be a head and shoulders. If it doesn't, a retest of 48.49 is due. DGTX, long downtrend. Based out, broke out, wedge, pop, flag, and it looks like it's going higher. 35, 39, 45, all potential targets. Tenea, long downtrend, base, breakaway move, wedge, pop, and another wedge. If it breaks through the 8 range, we're looking at 10.5. Uber, stock I picked as a swing, but it broke out here, ran up to the target, and then backed off, but it's now broke out, flagged, and it's breaking out again. The 41.22 close with the highest on Uber in more than a year. It's a 52-week high. I'm now looking for 45 and 48.9. Little UIS feels like it's basing it here. It broke out, pulled back, started to go. We put a swing on it. You got that fresh resistance and backed off. As long as it holds 380, I'm good. Once it gets above 465, I'm looking for 5 3/4, 6. Upstart, big downtrend. I mean, huge downtrend. 380 into the low teens. Got down to 12. Here it is, 32. Breaks out of a falling wedge with a breakaway gap. The moving averages crossed over, just kept going. My target is going to be a test of the August high, 37.5. In the oil and gas sector, Vista is very impressive. I wanted to show it to you. Continues to press higher, unlike a lot of oils. I'm looking for 32, 27 and 32. Viking, pop, pull back. We put a swing on it in January. I believe it was 20, excuse me, it was 8 and change. It's now in the mid 20s, it's tripled. I'm still looking for more. 30 and 33 are targets. Volaris, South American airline, breaking out. Could run, target in the mid-teens and high teens. BRT, breaks out of a base, breakaway gap, targeting the channel top at 24. Voyager, pop, wedge, and then pop again. Near resistance up here and backed off of it. Should we get through, we're looking at 1820. Yext, exploded on Wednesday and pulled back. The explosion took it to the top of the channel. I'm not surprised. How much further I can go? The target's 15. Zuo. You can see the inverse head and shoulders, the right hand extended V, the breakaway gap, the moving averages cross over. This looks very good. First target, 12.5. Second target, 15. And that's it on the long side. I'll have some shorts to go over and we'll finish up. Always alphabetically, APA. Look, I gave you a short on this one here at about 40. It got down to 30. And it's forming another wedge. If it breaks its multiple bottoms, this stock could plunge into the mid to high 20s. Be careful with this one. The stop is over 38. AZPN is a tech trader swing short after coming down and forming a bear wedge. It hasn't done a thing. It feels lower. 149.50 and 137.8 are targets. BOX has rallied back to resistance and the gap, and now pull back on Friday. If it fades and takes out that line, I would look for a move to retest 24 and then down to 22. CF remains in a downtrend with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way move, so it might reverse here, but it hasn't yet. Your targets are 60 and 56 if it extends downward. CPRI dropped and formed the bear wedge. That's where we put your tech trader bear swing on it, short swing, 50 to 34 and a bounce, but it doesn't look healthy. Lower levels may be had now that it's under everything. 34 and 30 are targets. DG rolled over hard and got slam dunked, and I don't see it rallying, but I would prefer it does so into the mid 60s, mid 160s before we short anything. Eventual target 136. Dino, and all I gave is a short here in the 50 range and eventually dropped down to 37. It's pulled back above resistance here. It might be coverable, but I would rather wait for it to go over 48 before I cover it. DBN, similar, another oil that broke down from the bear flag, so we went short. It's got multiple ways down. You can cover over 50 and at 1, but this bear wedge says it goes lower. 46, 44, and all the way down in the high 30s might be doable. EPAM remains in an ugly downtrend. Ever since it broke the head and shoulder top, or whatever you want to call it. But multiple ways down may cause a cover here. Be careful. Fluor broke down from the bear flag and then went lower. Double bottom to pop. It's at what I consider a parallel down channel top, but it reversed Friday, and that's a negative reversal bar. Let's see a continual downtrend to retest the 26 range and then 24. Guidewire, I just put it on the list this weekend. I saw that breakdown in bear flag. This might be a tech trader swing short. Take a look at this. You break that level, you're probably headed down to the, I would say mid 60s, even high 50s. MASI breaks down, rallies back, it fails, and is at support. A breakdown here, you might see 134 and lower. NFE, if it breaks out, you can cover over 32. It's been a long downtrend, and it may be basing. Overstock, similar, but really hasn't done the kind of breakout move with volume and technicals I want to see, but it's more dangerous to be short now. PBH, breakdown rising wedge, I said short it rolled over from 63 all the way to 53, bounced, so careful here, but the overall pattern for me still looks kind of ugly. PI, big decline, sharp rising right through the moving average here. If it fails here, it rolls over, great. If it doesn't, you're covering. PLNT broke down bear wedge. I said that looks like a short. It then dropped down hard, got down to the gap right there and held it and snapped back. Careful on that one, short as well. And finally, VTLE, which we went short on this one. I believe it was around 59 here, and dropped down to 39, bounced, but you can see the downtrend in place. If it fails, 33 and 29 are targets. And folks, that's an exhaustive look at longs, shorts, the technicals, the indices, the ETFs, and everything we look at every weekend. Food for thought, folks. Make sure you review this a couple of times. Take the time to do so you're prepared for next week. In the meantime, have a great weekend, everybody. And this is HB signing off. See you later.